I recognise the rugged, chiselled, hipster-bearded gentleman beside me from the Cape Wine Auction. Not only did Mike Radcliffe start the Cape Wine Auction and run Warwick for many years and give us Villa Fonte, he's also now the chairman of Stellenbosch Wine Routes because he really needs more stuff to do. A lot of people say, well, why do you bring the Stellenbosch Wine Route to Cape Town? It should be in Stellenbosch. I think just having a look around and having a walk through today on the first day of its first visit here to the waterfront illustrates just what a good idea it actually was.
Well, it seemed like a good idea, but let's get one thing straight for all those naysayers, is that the Stellenbosch Wine Route Festival is also going to happen in Stellenbosch and in Joburg, and we're even toying with the idea of Durban. So it's a lot of very serious winemakers on tour.
And what I love about this event, you've brought together some very, very impressive winemaking names, both in terms of estates and the winemakers themselves. But you've also got an incredible cut. It's sold out for its first day of ever happening. It's been a huge success.
It's been a huge success, and you know, we've got all that quintessential Stellenbosch lifestyle exported into the middle of the V&A waterfront. We've got braai fires, we've got happy people, we've got wine, we've got food, we've got amazing music. And what more could you want? Of course it's going to be sold out.
You've also got an extraordinary location, and that's a big part of what's made today such a fabulous experience. But it does sit on the bedrock of wine, and Stellenbosch wine in particular. You're now the chairman of Stellenbosch Wine Routes. We both travelled all over the world. We spent a lot of time in different wine areas. We could accuse you of being slightly biased perhaps, but I think we'd both agree that as a winemaking area, Stellenbosch really is something incredibly special.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. It is definitely the #1 wine region in the world.
Which is not quite what I said, but very similar.
Well, look, we have a certain pride. We have an incredible group of people that pull together extremely well to put on events like this, but also every year, year after year, to put on incredible vintages. So while we may not be the best, we have every intention to get there.
Now, the selection wine's extraordinary. I've done some tasting through the course of today. I've discovered a few gems. You will have done so as well. I'm about to go and start my tasting properly though and get the cameras rolling. One or two wines that you might have picked up that aren't perhaps on the usual hit list that I should have a look out for?
Well, in my glass right now is my current go-to Chenin Blanc from Kaapstad. So that's also Donnie Statler is here, and he's one of the great personalities of Stellenbosch. The wines of Middelvlei, the red wine, the Pinotage of Middelvlei, quite exceptional. And we've, really Cabernet in Stellenbosch is a thing. It's a very, very special thing. And so if you're at a loose end, go search out some of the great Cabernets.
And spend some time in Stellenbosch if you haven't already. This is a snapshot of it in a wonderful location, but Stellenbosch itself really is an extraordinary wine capital full of extraordinary wine. I'm going to go and find some. It's part of my working day, so Mrs. Nicol, if you're watching this is me at work. There's nothing I can do about it. It's an occupational hazard that I have to get stuck into, and I think I can hear some more wine calling.
Cheers, Dan.
One of the great things about having a Stellenbosch Wine Festival is that so much of the wine has got real heritage. These are estates that have been around for a long time. In the case of Kaapstad, there's the Statler family. They've been running the place since I think about 1946, and they've been making some great wine. It's all family made. There's a whole range of wine they're well known for. Their cabs drinking nicely. They've got a really interesting Pinotage rosé at the moment, but it's the Pinotage itself that they're probably most famous for. As you'll know, if you've watched Dan Really Likes Wine, Pinotage isn't always my favourite grape, but there certainly are exceptions, and this is a Pinotage that comes with a huge amount of street cred. And I do like that. It's got that classic Pinotage feel to it, that earthiness to it, and a nice strong red, but it's not overpowering, it's not clammy. It's got a really nice feel to it, and it's also got the feel of a wine that, although it's drinking quite nicely now, has certainly got some time to go. You might have noticed in the background the good-looking, if slightly shorter gentleman is Donnie. He's the winemaker. He's producing some great wine. This is another one in that bouquet that Kaapstad is almost as well known for as the splendid views from the estate that are well worth a visit.
It's kind of what we're known for. So we've got the rosé version of the real one, and then
my favourite parts of Stellenbosch is the area I like to know as Ernie Elsa's area. It's where Ernie has his farm, makes some brilliant reds underneath Stratum, but it's also full of a whole lot of different estates that really pay tribute to the very best of Stellenbosch red wine, and Guardian Peak sits firmly amongst that group. It's just across the road, just up from Ernie's spot. Lovely restaurant, terrific view, some really good food, but also some splendid wine. What I love about the wine is that Jean Engelbrecht's spot has the wine at really accessible prices. So this is their Shiraz, it's the 2018 Shiraz, so it's still really, really young. But although it's young, I've tasted this a little earlier today. You wouldn't think it's as young as it is. It's really fruity, it's really juicy. It's got a little bit of spice to it, but it's just a nice, accessible and easily priced red. It sits at about 80 rand a bottle. And what's particularly good is that it's about 50 degrees Celsius outside, and this has been chilled nicely, not to the point of freezing, but just nice and cool, and it makes on a hot day like this a really, really good glass of red wine. Lovely price, perfect temperature, tastes great. This one's a winner. So one of the Stellenbosch estates I've spent a fair amount of time at is Dornier, named after a famous Swiss architect who's sadly no longer with us, but his legacy remains both in the extraordinary fish-shaped cellar he's got that reflects in the water, but also in the form of some really good wine. They've also got a great restaurant. The pairing makes for a fabulous visit, and the wine they do has been celebrated for a while now. I decided to try something a little different though. That's some Merlot. I haven't had any Merlot today. Merlot's a grape that still suffers a little bit from comparisons with other grapes. People sometimes say, well, let's just have it in a blend. Merlot on its own though is starting to make a comeback in South Africa, and rightly so, because it's a terrific grape when well made. And there's a good example of exactly that happening. There is that softness to Merlot, but people often write off the softness and feel there's not much depth to it. Here there's the exception. There's still a depth of fruit, there's still a full flavour to it, and it's a really nicely rounded wine. But it's just outside of the heart of Stellenbosch, well worth a visit in that sort of Waterford area. Beautiful, beautiful cellar to have a look at, and also some terrific wine, including the Merlot. And so ends the first edition of the Stellenbosch Wine Festival at the Waterfront. It's been a raging success. 2 sold-out days, loads of people, some fantastic wine in an absolutely astonishing location. I'm not sure there's been a better location for a wine festival any in the world ever, but it's been the wine that's taken centre stage. Terrific wine, a great celebration of Stellenbosch, and it is a festival that's going to be happening right around the country with Pick and Pay. So look out wherever you live in South Africa for the festival touching down somewhere near you, including Stellenbosch a little later on this year. South African wine at its best, hard to beat, especially when you're somewhere like this. Cheers.